All right, guys, this is our video explanation to help you do your corrections to the last test, test 7. Everyone's doing corrections. Everyone is going to do this first one, whether you had a, I can't even think of our range of our scores, but whether you had a 67 or a 97, okay? The only people that do not need to do corrections is if you had 100. And our numbers of hundreds were not as many this last test. So when you do this, if you do it on your own sheet of paper, all 4 boxes need to be completed. So you have to fill out the form completely and accurately. You can use additional sheets or use basically your own paper, additional sheets. Dang it, why is it happening? That's weird. Use additional sheets if you need more. I believe I'm only attached 1 sheet to the assignment in Teams, which is a total of 4 boxes. And then this must be, all missed problems must be completed in order to retest. Retest if you need to retest. And we'll talk about that at the end. And I'll go in more detail of that in class. Okay, so this first box here, I know you don't have, this is the question, number 1, but you basically put the number of the problem that you're correcting. So if you don't need 1, you obviously don't need to listen to this part of the video. You can go to another part if you need that. But you put in this box your original work. So you write down the number of the problem, you copy the problem, or at least give me your original work to problem. Okay. So now, if for some reason we don't have work, let's say because this is a multiple choice question and some of you are just, I don't really know how to do this still, so I'm just going to guess. And you're going to write that, what you originally did for the problem. Guess, process of elimination. I don't know how, there should be still some work for that. But you are going to put how you originally attempted the problem. Then over here, on the right here is where you need to rework, and that should be statewide. I think y'all should have the better version of this. Apologize for my typos. So you need to rework over here, and that's what I'm going to do, because this problem asks you to solve by factoring, and in order to factor a quadratic equation, which is usually in this form right here, change that. In order to factor ax squared plus bx plus c, it has to equal to 0. So when I'm factoring, it equals to 0. Completing the square is different. So the first thing we had to do on this problem here was subtract the 18. That's an equal sign there. So we had, I'll rework this here, put it right there. Oops. X squared minus 3x equals 18. So the first thing we need to do is minus 18 on both sides, or move your 18 back over to the left, and that would have gave us x squared minus 3x minus 18. Now it's equal to 0. And now that it's equal to 0, some people saw this mentally because this is a basic quadratic, and so we're looking for factors of negative 18 with a sum of a negative 3. And so those were our factors, negative 6 and 3. And what they did was they looked and said, oh, those two numbers, negative 6 and 3, give me what I'm looking for. And they picked the answer choice D. But because the problem's asking you to solve it, because we're trying to solve by factoring, then you needed to always do your factoring. Your factoring is your parenthesis part. And so we should have x minus 6 and x plus 3. And then you have to take that factor, x minus 6, and make it equal to 0. And that x plus 3, make it equal to 0 to solve for x. So we should have here, you have to add 6. So x equals actually a positive 6. And then here, x equals a positive 3. A negative 3, sorry. Do it one more time. So the correct answer was this answer choice, and then partial credit was given if you did this, because if you got to those numbers, -6 and 3 or 6 and 3, it showed that you did the factoring because you were able to see the factors needed for the -18. You just forgot that you're factoring, the factors are equal to 0. You have to work opposite. Okay, so you fill in number 1, your original work, your original temp. Then you fill in the second box, the rework. Then you need to tell me why you missed it based on what you originally did. Based on now that we have did this, or the reworking, why did you miss it? Was it because you didn't make each factor equal to 0? Was it because you didn't make the whole equation equal to 0? But just tell me why you missed. And then you need to also make sure you tell me what you can do next time to get the problem correct. So each all 4 items have to be filled in to get full credit, or to receive your credit on this daily assignment. So that is number 1. I'm going to go over the first section of the test. So I think that, like I said, that includes 1 through 4. So if you needed number 2, here it is. Number 2 says given the factors. So they already gave you the factors of the equation. Use the 0 property. Okay. The 0 property basically just says if I wish I had the summary up here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Maybe not. Let me pause this. Okay, what I wanted to refer to was, I think I can open it now. There it is. What's the summary that you had to go with this test? And since we're solving by factoring, but on this specific question, they have already given us the factors. They've given the factors of the equation. So right here, step 4 says set every factor containing an x equal to 0. So basically what you had to do, every factor containing an x, which our factors were the 3x, because we had 3x parentheses 4x minus 5 equals 0. So that means that our factors, there's 2 factors here. This was a factor. Factors are what we multiply together to get the answer of our product or our solution. And so this is a factor. So there wasn't a lot of work here. What you needed to do was make the 3x equal to 0, and then make the 4x minus 5 equal to 0, and then solve for x. Well, on here, even if you didn't see this, x equals 0 here. On the second factor, you had to add 5 first, and then that would have gave you 4x equals 5, and then you would have divided by 4, and so x equals 5/4. And so our 2 solutions, our 2 values for x were the following. And so basically I was just looking to see if you could set it equal to 0. What most people did, and I think it was just a problem solving tool, was they set this one equal to 0, because I just kind of saw that part right there. And then they got to the 5/4, so they knew 5/4 was in one of them. And so then they did a process of elimination to get to the actual solution. So you needed to have both. Oh, did I do that right? Yeah. So yeah, so it's here. So now just go into, please tell me why you missed it and what you're going to do next time to get this right. All right. Now, if you need 3, I'm going to do that next here. 3 was another factoring. But on this problem, so obviously you're giving your original work or attempt, here from the test. And then this one is already equal to 0. So we have the 2x squared, plus x minus 15 equals to 0. But the problem on this one is that we have a coefficient. So you had to take that coefficient and multiply it to the last term. So yes, you had to do this little factor puzzle, this X puzzle, but at the top of our puzzle is actually negative 30, and the bottom of our puzzle is 1, because our B here is actually 1. And so we're looking for factors of a negative 30 with the sum of 1, and anytime it's a negative product, one has to be negative, one has to be positive. So we should have a negative 5 and a positive 6. So from there, when I was checking for work to give you credit, I'll give you full credit, we needed to have x minus 5. I don't know why this keeps happening, sorry. X minus 5 and x plus 6 equals 0. And where some of the mistakes were, because we did this coefficient of 2, we multiplied it, you had to divide by 2. So when you simplify this first one, 2 obviously cannot be divided into 5. So you had to take this 2 and move it up, bottom up. So this is 2x minus 5. And then here, yes, that can be simplified to x plus 3 equal to 0. And so we're solving each factor because we're solving here. So that means 2x minus 5 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. And I know some of you know how to see this mentally, where basically if I know it's plus 3, then my solution is going to be a negative 3. Okay. Here, same thing. If I have minus 5, then my solution, because you're going to end up adding 5, and then 2x. And the shortcut, hopefully some of you saw, was right here. Because I had that minus 5, then my solution is going to be a positive 5 over 2. Okay, so we were looking for those answer choices, which was our answer choice 1 here. And then just need to explain why you missed it. Are you still missing because you still don't know how to do our slide and multiply rule for factoring? You know, let's explain, let's get some better understanding and learn from our mistakes. And then tell me what to do for next time. And then the last type of problem dealing with factoring, on number 4, is use the square root property. Should we go ahead and lump that into, yeah. But if I had, as for work on here, I had some people look at this x squared minus 49 equals 0. And they saw, oh, this is a difference of squares. Because this was a perfect square, and 49 was a perfect square. And when it's a difference of squares, it's just the square root of the first term plus the square root of the second term, and then your x minus 7. So you have to do both. Or this is solved using the square root property. And if you forgot the square root property, then we can go back to our notes here. And now it's gonna freeze up on me. There it goes. Right here, finding the square roots. Isolate the term with the x. Take the square root of both sides. So what I was looking also as possible work using the square root property was we're gonna isolate that term. So that means we would end up adding 49 to both sides. So I had x squared equals 49. Then take the square root of both sides. Take the square root. So my x was plus or minus 7. So you had to give me both values, positive 7 and a negative 7, to get full credit here. Some of you got partial credit because you got that plus one, but it needs to be both. All right, so then make sure you tell me why you missed and what you're going to do next time. So that takes care of the first section of the test, which is just solving by factoring. Now we're going to do the second section of the test, which is we're dealing with completing the square. Okay, so I'll go to the next part on the playlist.